Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Terp Family Chat. My name is Brian Watkins, and I'm the Director of Parent and Family Affairs. I'm glad to see so many of you join us this evening on Zoom and on the Terp Family YouTube channel. This session is being recorded. If you have a family member or friend who is unable to join this evening, they can view the recording, which will be posted on the Terp Family YouTube page tomorrow. The Terp Family Chat series is sponsored by the Office of Parent and Family Affairs. If you've not attended an orientation session and are unfamiliar with our office, I want to make sure you know that the Office of Parent and Family Affairs serves as the single point of contact at the University of Maryland for the parents and family members of our undergraduate students. Consider us your home at the university. The goal of Parent and Family Affairs is to educate and engage all of you in becoming informed partners in your undergraduate students' education, personal development, and success. Terp Family Chat is our special summer online series designed to provide updates and timely information to help your family prepare for the fall semester. We recognize how difficult the past 17 months have been and the ways in which overlapping pandemics have affected the university community and the world. Through this series of chats, we share important details on a variety of topics related to student success and support. And the focus of tonight's session is mental health and well-being. As we navigate the continued impact of COVID-19 and the pandemics of social injustice and economic insecurity, we want to take time tonight to acknowledge the mental health challenges and traumas experienced by so many, especially our students. We acknowledge that students carry these experiences with them, and we understand the importance of having a variety of support mechanisms available. We know the past year and a half in particular has been immensely challenging, and we know the fall semester is a semester of transition for all of our students. We designed this chat to share information with you about the many ways in which we support student mental health and well-being. You'll hear from several leaders from across campus who will provide an overview of mental health and well-being resources. This is not intended to be a deep dive into full details about everything we are doing this fall. Rather, it is intended to acknowledge the challenges our students have faced and will face, affirm our commitment to all of our students, and to give you a sampling of the services, resources, opportunities, and support. So here's the format. Each of our speakers will share some information with you, and our remaining time together will be spent answering your questions. We welcome your questions. Please use the Q&A feature in Zoom. You can enable this by clicking the Q&A button located at the bottom of the Zoom window. You are welcome to submit questions as you think of them throughout the presentation. We will monitor the questions as we go, and we will ask them live during the Q&A portion. All of you can see the questions that others submit. If you see someone submit the same question you have, rather than repeat your question, I encourage you to click on the thumbs up icon under the question you like. This is called an upvote, and it will move the question up higher into the Q&A window, so it gets more attention by us. With so many questions submitted, we won't be able to get to everyone's questions, but we'll certainly do our best. Now, to get us started, it is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Dr. Michelle Farrell, psychologist in the University of Maryland Counseling Center.
Hi there. Hi, everybody, and welcome. So we are here, as Brian mentioned, to talk about student health and wellness, particularly mental health and other forms of. So I just wanted to spend, a few minutes talking about our services and acknowledging where students are at. So I'm sure y'all know as well as us, or maybe even better, how much students have been struggling with over the last year and a half or 2 years. Things like the global pandemic, systemic racism and violence, economic hardships, and so much more. So all of the things that are impacting students and their families. families. And so really trying to recognize that we are committed to making sure that we support students as they transition back on campus, and recognizing that, that might not feel like a seamless transition back, as, it can't feel perfect, but wanting to definitely wanting to communicate that we are committed to supporting students as they make that transition back. So a few services that I would like to let y'all know about at the Counseling Center. We do offer a wide range of services for students, and we do expect to be very busy with, providing services for students in the fall, again, recognizing, all of the impact of things from the last couple of years on them. So what we are hearing from students are higher levels of anxiety, depression, things like social isolation, general adjustment issues, difficulties with academics. And so if your student is dealing with one of these issues, many of these issues, or these issues and more issues, just definitely know that they are not alone. And the majority of students are struggling with similar issues, and it's not a reflection on them, it's a reflection on the larger things that they're dealing with and trying to navigate. So in terms of the resources that we provide, we do have things like individual therapy, one-on-one individual sessions that we meet with students, and we are eclectic and generalist in our approach. So we meet with students for a wide range of issues, many of the ones that I had just mentioned, but other ones as well. Things like career counseling, navigating as a freshman or sophomore student, navigating relationships with family, with peers, with others. So we kind of see it all at the Counseling Center. We also do offer things like couples counseling. We do offer a good range of group therapies, and we are expecting the group therapies to be pretty popular in the fall. So if you have a student that might be interested in joining one of the groups, definitely encourage them to reach out sooner rather than later. Because we expect a lot of students to be wanting to connect with us and with their peers, and maybe working through things like relationships, social anxiety, social isolation, all things that groups could help out with. We also do have workshops that are focused on things like coping more effectively with anxiety, coping more effectively with depression. And one of our newer initiatives that we actually started during the pandemic were the wellness workshops. And so that is focused on general mental health wellness, things like coping, adjusting to uncertainty, navigating virtual connections, navigating academic difficulties during times of uncertainty like what we have or have had in the recent past, and things like coping with our thoughts, trying to kind of figure out how to manage our emotions. So really kind of focused on how to manage and be more healthy in terms of overall mental health and how to cope with really big stressors. So let's see if there was anything else I wanted to make y'all aware about. So if you do have a student that is interested in reaching out to us about services, feel free to encourage them to contact the Counseling Center directly. Oftentimes the first step would be an initial screening appointment, often called an intake, where the counselor will meet with the student, hear a little bit more about why they're interested in services at this time, and then kind of collaboratively decide about the next steps, if that's individual therapy, if that's groups, if that's something else in terms of other ways of getting connected with other services on campus. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions, but I'll stop there to give more time to my other speakers. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Our next speaker is Dr. Adam Unicy, Assistant Director of Behavioral Health in the University Health Center.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here tonight to talk about the health center and what we offer in terms of mental health services there. I'm going to share my screen because we were told that we didn't have to use any PowerPoint presentations. So of course I decided to do so. So I'm going to share just for some visuals here. Okay. So we are part, so Behavioral Health Services is part of the University Health Center, which is separate from the Counseling Center. And I just thought kind of a visual of kind of, representing the Counseling Center and us would help people kind of get a basic idea of who we are. Because actually I am new, relatively speaking. I came in March of 2020. And, I tell the story that, before I was going to interview on campus, I went to kind of look up, where I'd be interviewing and whatnot. And I looked up the Counseling Center mistakenly. So I thought if I'm confused about this, students must also potentially be, especially freshman students, just learning about the university in general. So basically there are two means by which students can access behavioral health services at UMD. One is the Counseling Center, which Michelle just talked about, and the other is the University Health Center. So we in behavioral health are part of the Health Center, and I think it's kind of, to sum up maybe the difference between the Counseling Center and behavioral health services at the Health Center would be that we are more of a medical model. We have psychiatrists, and we have so we have medication management. So psychiatrists and psychologists, often people kind of get confused about the difference. Psychologists are PhDs. Psychiatrists have a medical degree. We went to medical school, and so we primarily these days offer medication management, although some psychiatrists still do psychotherapy as well. We have, in addition to medication management through psychiatry, offer therapy. And the majority of our patients, of our students who we see at the health center in behavioral health with our therapists, also have a psychiatrist that they see in the health center. So we really work closely with the therapists, and the majority of our patients we share, and the majority of our patients take medication for their psychiatric and diagnoses and treatment. So that is the main difference. We are located right across, the health center is located right across from the STAMP Student Union, and the Counseling Center is in a different location in the Schumacher building. So we have different locations as well. So in the University Health Center, we have multiple units. We call them units, that you could think of them as departments or units. We have the behavioral health unit, and I put there also included in that is our SUIT and FSAP programs. The SUIT stands for Substance Use Intensive Treatment, and FSAP is Faculty Staff Assistance Program. So not to confuse people, but they are also part of behavioral health. We have a primary care unit. We have sports medicine unit. Not too long ago, sports medicine is now listed under the health center. So it's part of the health center. We have women's health, pharmacy services, laboratory, health promotions and wellness, and care to stop violence, all under the health center. So who are our staff in behavioral health at the health center? We have 4 psychiatrists. We have 2 psychiatric nurse practitioners who practice psychiatry as well. We have about 8 therapists who are licensed social workers. So that again differs from the Counseling Center, who have psychologists. We have a triage specialist, and their role is to kind of assess urgent, semi-urgent, situations and kind of direct students to the level of care that would be appropriate for them. And that is actually a very important role. So they work with all of us to kind of direct people to the care that they need. And then we have 2 program administrators who sit at the front desk on the 2nd floor of the health center. So as I mentioned, when you use the term behavioral health instead of mental health, typically what that means is what you think of as mental health plus substance use services. So as I mentioned before, we have a substance use intensive treatment program and all of their staff under SUIT, and then the faculty and staff assistance program, FSAP, and the FSAP staff. So we work together, but we're not, they're not technically part of the mental health services, but they comprise the larger kind of concept of behavioral health at the health center. And this is a slide that doesn't really pertain to this talk, but we offer various medication management, and therapy services. So that is basically who we are and what we do. And I will turn it over to the next person.
Thank you very much, Adam. Our next speaker is Sarah Wilson, the program coordinator for stress and mental wellness in the University Health Center. Sarah.
Hello, everyone. It is so lovely to be here with you this evening. My name is Sarah Wilson. I use she, her pronouns. I am a health educator and public health professional in the University Health Center. For those of you who are new to campus, truly so excited to have you on campus this fall, to meet you in this space, even if virtual. To those of you who have been on campus before, so glad to have you back and reconnect when we are on campus this fall. I too have a couple of slides that I am going to share. And as Brian kindly reminded us at the beginning, this is not an exhaustive list of all of our services. I am just going to highlight some that might be of interest to your student this fall as they get back on campus, reconnect with students, and begin to support their wellness in new ways as they approach this fall semester. So bear with me while I share screen and get started. Let's see here. All right, here you are looking at our team members in the Health Promotion and Wellness Services Unit at the University Health Center. All of us have some background in public health. We all work in different topic areas, but work as a collaborative team to support wellness and prevention efforts on campus. I'll talk a little bit about all of our services today in just the briefest of detail. So here is a list of our services, everything from wellness coaching to meditation programs, nutrition services, and individual consultations. I want to spend a minute talking about these individual consultations with professional staff members, all of the faces you just saw on the previous slide. These services are free for students. As we move into the fall, they'll be available both virtually and in person, and are a really great opportunity for students to ask questions about something they might be weighing on them a little bit, or something they've been thinking about. Perhaps they might even be asking some questions about how to support a friend, or asking about further resources on campus. So often, one of the roles that we play is helping to get students connected to other mental health services on campus to support them in whatever way is going to help them thrive while they are on campus. So let's talk about some of these resources. We'll start with one of my personal favorites. I am, of course, biased because this is a program that I run, but WAGs for Wellness is our monthly pet therapy visitation program. We have a team of therapy dogs who come to campus multiple times a month. And one of the things that makes our program really unique is that we use the same dogs at all of our visits. So it's nice to know that when a student starts to form a bond with a dog, every time they come back to that event, they can expect to see that four-legged friend that they have met the time before. All of our therapy dogs have been trained and really kind of screened to make sure that they work well with college students. And of course, I can't leave you without some photos of the dogs first. So you'll see we have lots of golden retrievers who visit us regularly. These dogs have been coming to campus for over 7 years now, actually. The same team of golden retrievers, so they know our students well, they know campus well. And in the corner here, you're seeing this little girl. Her name is Sugar, and she is truly a student favorite on our campus. Moving on is our free nutrition coaching program. This program is particularly neat for students because the service is provided by other students, all undergraduate students in the dietetics program providing this service. And it's a really great opportunity for your students who might be learning how to navigate the dining hall. Or an example I use often is maybe a student is feeling their energy drop in the afternoon, and perhaps it is related to the food they are eating. So these nutrition coaches can help students plan purposeful snacks that help maintain their energy throughout the day, help them navigate the dining hall, and think about mindful portions so that they are fueling their body every moment of the day. Next up is our meditation program, another program that I work with. We offer meditation programming every single day of the week. We offer group programs that allow students to drop in. They don't even really need to sign up in advance. They do need to register, so they have the link for the program, but they don't need to sign up for a particular day. They can come and go as they please. 30-minute sessions ranging in different topics. We even have one that we offer in the evening to help students wind down for bedtime. And then we know that some students are looking to start a meditation program or start meditation in their own lives and might need some additional support. So they can even schedule one-on-one appointments with us, also free of charge, to begin creating their own meditation practice and learn how to incorporate it into their lives. Our next service is a light therapy program. I can't imagine that too many students would be looking for this program early in the semester, but as those days become a little bit shorter and there's a little bit more darkness in our days, students might start to notice a little change in their mood. Seasonal affective disorder. Light therapy is a researched and proven technique to be able to support students who might be experiencing some mood changes, particularly related to the changing seasons. We have a light therapy program that both allows students to try out the device in our McKeldin library. They don't need any note or any special permission to do so in the same area where they might check out a laptop or a charger. They can try out one of these light therapy devices, or they can come to the health center and we can give them a note that would allow them to check out that device for a full month, taking it home with them and using that as a tool to support their mental health and wellness. Next up is our wellness coaching program. This is still a new-ish program to the health center. It will only be its second year on campus, so it's only been run during the pandemic. Wellness coaching is great for students who are looking to set goals and have some accountability to help them in these goals. It might be related to sleep or stress, perhaps time management or academic performance in some way. We'll also be offering a group wellness coaching program this fall that will allow students to work together and have accountability in that group. And then last but not least, the program I will leave you with today before we switch to the next presenter is, again, a brand new program that we are offering this fall called Sustain. Sustain is a skill-based support group for students experiencing secondary trauma from their peers or loved ones' substance use behaviors, including but not limited to addiction. This program is really, truly incredible. I am not the one running it and I've not created it, but I have had the absolute privilege of supporting some of its development and reading the curriculum, and it really is going to be wonderful for those students who are looking for a support environment like this. So with that, I will leave you and pass you on to the next presenter, and I look forward to chatting with you more during the Q&A.
Awesome, Sarah. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce Brie Rowe, Assistant Director in University Recreation and Wellness. Hi, Brie.
Hi, thank you, Brian, and good evening, everybody. I'm going to take a moment and share my screen as well. And it's so nice to be with you here this evening. As Sarah said, we're so excited to have your student joining us on campus this fall, either returning or coming for the very first time. And I look forward to speaking with you tonight a little bit more about how we can support your student in establishing healthy behaviors surrounding physical wellness while they're on campus. and why that is so important. And I am the Assistant Director of Business Communications and Marketing for University Recreation and Wellness. But I also spent about 10 years here as a fitness director, as well as I was an undergraduate student here many, many years ago. So I know that this is a very pivotal time for your students when they're coming onto campus to sort of establish new routines and behaviors that might look different than what they carried with them in high school and the activities and extracurriculars they were doing. So Reckwell, who are we? We are all things recreation and wellness on this campus, and we operate lots of facilities and a robust array of programs that help to support that. So we have 4 indoor recreation facilities, and if you had the ability to visit the campus on one of your Visit Maryland days, you were probably walked through our premier Epley Recreation Center. We also have multiple outdoor spaces on campus, and we typically serve on average more than 2,500 students and members every day. We offer group fitness programs, personal training, student-led sport clubs, intramural sports, adventure trips and services, as well as educational workshops, a bike shop that helps to repair bikes, as well as educate on how to repair bikes, challenge course programs, swimming lessons, tennis lessons, as well as an 18-hole golf course. And we believe that being physically active is a crucial component in the success of your student outside of the classroom. And we're dedicated to helping, along with our peers here tonight, create a culture of wellness on our campus that helps support our community in doing so and helps them thrive. So when we talk about what it means to be physically active as a student, we talk about moving your way in any way that feels good as often as you can. So we want students to find whatever gets them moving practically for that day that they really enjoy, so it feels less like a chore and something that they want to do. We also encourage our students to think about moving for any amount of time that works for them in that moment. So it's not always going to look like a 30 or 60-minute time block of dedicated physical activity. It might look like a 5-minute bout of physical activity in between classes or study sessions, or even choosing to take the stairs versus the elevator in the residence hall. We want them to think that every little bit accounts for something, and it's not an all or nothing approach. And then we want to help them make a plan to be active and find manageable ways to incorporate it into their schedule, not only in the first few weeks when they might not be as busy, but also during midterm and final season, when it's really important to support their levels of stress and their sleep and their focus with added physical activity. So when we talk about physical activity, we recommend to all of our students, based upon national guidelines, 150 minutes a day of moderate intensity aerobic activity. So that's anything that raises your core body temperature and gets your heart beating faster. And so that usually involves use of your arms and legs moving. And we recommend 2 days a week of muscular strength training. So again, that 150 minutes can look like 5 minutes one day, 60 minutes the next day. That's a total accumulated effort throughout the week. And why is that so important? That's so important because there are many long-term benefits, of course, for maintaining physical activity throughout your lifetime, such as improved health, risk of comorbidities decreasing, such as type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke, improved immune function, but also immediate benefits. And this is really what we try to stress to our students. And those immediate benefits associated with physical activity tend to have a huge impact, particularly on their mental health, like improved sleep, sharpened focus, and reduced stress and mood boosters. So these 4 immediate benefits can be felt the instant they begin exercising. So that's something we always like to stress to our students, that it doesn't always, you don't always have to look down the road at the long term. Moving now will benefit the long term and your way of quality of life, but also it benefits the here and now in terms of being a successful student on the campus. So how we do that? As I said, we have many facilities and a robust array of programs. Our intramural sports program has 21 in-person team and individual sporting tournaments. They happen all throughout the year. We also host virtual trivia and esports leagues, around 15 a semester. We will continue to host, I saw a question a little bit earlier, virtual as well as in-person events into the fall. We host them late at night, on the weekends. They range from pickleball to soccer to football to foosball to spikeball. It's really a wide variety of intramural sports. You can play as a team, or you can play as an individual as a free agent, and that helps to meet people. We'll also be doing a hall challenge this fall, where residence halls will be able to play in competition with fellow residence halls to accumulate points for an overall intramural winner. We also offer many adventure trips and clinics. Those include both day trips and overnight trips, as well as some spring break trip offerings. We have a climbing wall and challenge course. In both of those facilities, we offer lots of team building and trust exercises that our student organizations often use, communication exercises, and we have a bike shop and gear rental shop. The gear rental shop is pretty much an exhaustive list of things that you could think for your student to get outside and experience the outdoors. That includes kayaks, bikes, as well as tents, backcountry cooking equipment, sleeping bags, and all of that stuff is done fully sanitized upon return. It's a nominal fee for rental, and it's something that students can check out throughout the semester if they're wishing to adventure out with friends. We also, and this is newer for us, we started offering this in March 2020, offer virtual escape rooms for our community as well, which are quite fun. In our fitness programs, we have over 100 group fitness classes a week. They are offered both live in person and live virtually through our UMD Fitness YouTube channel. And also on that YouTube channel, we have a repository of videos for classes that have been taped. So if the student isn't able to make a workout or doesn't feel comfortable going in person, they can find that workout online. We have nationally credentialed certified personal trainers. And those accredited trainers are a nominal fee, but they're fantastic. And they do work alongside the nutrition coaches in a program called PT Plus. So in conjunction with what Sarah talked about at the health center, to support your student from both the physical activity perspective and also the food perspective. And we do offer fitness assessments and body composition as well. We have 47 student-run sport clubs. There are many leadership opportunities in those sport clubs. The sport clubs are very active. They travel for competition. Many have made it to the national level for competition. And they are, as I said, student-run organizations. So they have their own executive boards, their own bylaws, and it's really a great opportunity for students to continue to recreate with the sport that they may have been playing throughout their childhood and continue to play that sport in a competitive way or non-competitive way, their choice, because there's lots of team options in each sport club, and travel and meet new folks as well. We have Reckwell Aquatics, and I wish I had a picture for you this evening of our lovely aquatics facilities. We have both an indoor and outdoor pool. The outdoor pool is open April to mid-October, family weekend exactly. And the outdoor pool has fire pits, lounge furniture, diving board, sliding board, mushroom pool, lap swimming, as well as recreation pool. And it's a really great way for folks to sit and hang out and recreate and be well outside. We also have a 50-meter long course indoor pool as well as recreational swimming pool in our facilities. And we offer several varieties of Red Cross aquatic safety courses, which include water safety instructor, lifeguard training, as well as pool operation management. And then finally, we have a golf course on our campus. You may or may not have seen that because it's located on campus, but kind of off across 193. And it's directly across from the Clarice Smith Performing Arts Center. It is an 18-hole golf course with driving range. There we offer student-based tournaments, as well as individual instruction and group clinics. And it's a really awesome way for students to enjoy or pick up the sport of golf if they're wishing to continue that as something for a lifelong skill. And that is all I have for you. So I believe, Brian, I am sending it back to you.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Brie. Our final speaker this evening is Denise McHugh, the manager of the Memorial Chapel. And Denise is going to talk about spiritual well-being and share some of the resources that we have for our students.
Hello, everyone. It is wonderful to see you today and spend time with you, and a special welcome to all of our parents and other family members who are here today. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with this screen. Oh, great. I am going to share my screen as well, and just give me a moment here to do that. The Memorial Chapel we think of as a place that is separate from the rest of campus, that's apart from the hubbub of campus, just a place to meditate, to pray, to attend a religious or interfaith event, to meet with a chaplain. It's just a beautiful space that's on campus. Also part of Let me see if I can unmute myself here.
You were good, Denise.
Okay, it said I was muted. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. So, so in addition to, as part of the chapel, we actually have two chapels that are part of our beautiful structure that goes back to 1952. One chapel is our main chapel, and then we also have a smaller chapel. It's just a really wonderful place for students or staff to come and just be quiet for a few minutes, make a special part in their day. And we welcome students from all faith backgrounds and secular students as well. Adjacent to the chapel, we have a really amazing garden of reflection and remembrance that includes some spaces for journaling underneath our benches. There are some journals there. And we also have a meditative labyrinth. Throughout the year, we do programs in that labyrinth, and we also encourage students to come and just spend time in the labyrinth on their own. Just a really wonderful space. And we know that it's so important to spend time out in nature. And certainly the Garden of Reflection and Remembrance offers a great opportunity to do that. I want to tell you a little bit about our chaplains. We have an amazing group of chaplains. There are 14 of them all together. University of Maryland is a little bit unusual in having so many chaplains who are there to serve our students. They represent Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, and Christian faiths. Several of our chaplains, in addition to being connected with the chapel itself, also have their own centers that are adjacent to campus. That would include Hillel and Chabad, serving our Jewish students. Our Muslim chaplain also has a Muslim reflection space that is near the Stamp Student Union. And then our Mormon chaplain also has a space adjacent to campus as well. Our chaplains are here for all sorts of reasons. They are great for sort of pastoral care. They also hold worship and faith, various faith opportunities and study opportunities. Service is also a really important part of what they do as well. And there are many opportunities for students to serve the community through working with the chaplaincies. Also just wanted to give you a list of some of the chaplains that are with the chapel. You can see just the variety of faiths that are represented. All students are welcome to attend any program that they wish or any worship service that they wish. We also do a number of interfaith opportunities with chaplains and myself coming together to serve students in different ways and to provide opportunities to look at different faith communities from that interfaith perspective. So it's just a really wonderful opportunity. In addition to our chaplaincies, there are about 40 student groups on campus with religious affiliations. So there are different ways, even beyond the chaplains, for students to get involved and hold leadership positions on campus relating to faith and religious wellness. And I'm going to conclude with just a wonderful picture of some of the students that are that are associated with our chaplains. So we really welcome you to become involved with the chapel and our different chaplaincies. Thanks very much. I look forward to your questions.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Really appreciate all the information you shared. And just to start with, there's a ton of questions, so I'm going to try to work through them as best as we can. And I know that many of you submitted questions when you registered to attend this session. And so I've pulled some of those to work through, as well as the questions that everyone has been submitting live during this session. Several folks were interested in how students are going to learn about all of this great stuff. And so I want to just note that for all of your new students, they heard about some of this at new student orientation. Now, that said, that might have been in June, and they're not going to remember anything that they heard at orientation in June, or even last week or 2 weeks ago. And that's okay, because we will remind them multiple times throughout the year about all of the services and resources, and we do it at a time when it probably is going to matter in the semester. And one of the ways that we do that, especially for new students, is through UNIV 100. So there's a lot of information that's shared in those classes. The other thing that we do for all of our students is we have a Keep Connected newsletter. And this is sent every week on Wednesday to all students from the Division of Student Affairs. And it contains all kinds of great information and ads about upcoming events and programs and support resources. We also share that Keep Connected newsletter with you, with our parents and families, through our Terp Family eConnection portal. So you will also receive a copy of that newsletter, so that as you look through it, you can have a conversation with your student about some of the events that are coming up, and ask them if they've signed up for things, and if that might be of interest to them. So it's a great way for you to start having a conversation with your student about some of the things that you know are happening. And so those are some of the ways that they will find out about things. Anything anybody else wants to share about how we push information out to students and how you share your great resources?
So I dropped in an answer to a question, but I believe all of us on here run social media accounts. So that's a great way for your student to begin finding us right now by looking us up. I think everybody's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and some may be on TikTok that I'm not sure of. And most of us have YouTube channels in some capacity as well.
Thank you very much for that. All right, so this is a group therapy related question. And what are some of the steps students can take to connect with others who might be feeling the same way they are? And how are the group therapy sessions organized, and around what topics?
Absolutely. So I can actually plug into the chat a link that's directly to the group therapy, because there are a bunch of groups that we do, which is really awesome. And I love doing group therapy. A lot of the therapists do as well. So we have everything from things like creating confidence, which the title is a little confusing, but it's actually about dealing with social anxiety and related issues around anxiety. So we're expecting that to be very popular in the fall semester, with students transitioning back into being in person, being around others, the general anxiety that can come with that, and wanting to kind of interact effectively, again, with their peers and with other people around them. We have things, groups that are focused on depression, and we also have groups that are focused on identity and diversity. So the group that I actually co-lead with one of my colleagues is the LGBTQ plus group that also focuses very heavily on intersectionality. So we do have students that are LGBT, but are also students of color, or might have other marginalized identities as well. So There's also groups focused on self-compassion, body image, graduate and dissertation support. So we do have a lot of groups. The process would be very similar to other services. So again, they would reach out to the counseling center, schedule that initial intake, and let the therapist know that they were interested in a particular group, and then collaboratively decide if that's the best option, if another option might be good for them as well, instead of or in addition to. So I'll stop there. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle. We've also had several questions related to, so for a number of students, they might be seeing a psychiatrist at home, or they might have a therapist at home. And what do you recommend when they get to campus? Should they kind of coordinate between a psychiatrist that they might see on campus with their home-based psychiatrist, or same for therapy with a psychologist? Should there be any coordination? What might that look like?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So if the student has a psychiatrist prescribing in the community, there's really no need for them to contact a psychiatrist at the health center, unless they wanted to transfer their care over to us. The rationale being, more than one psychiatrist managing a patient can sometimes not be helpful. But if they wanted to transition to a psychiatrist at the health center, then we're very happy to do that. With respect to therapy, it would be similar, but I would say that if they have an outside therapist, but want a psychiatrist, that they contact the health center to set up an intake for a psychiatrist on campus. We're happy to do that and work with the therapist outside. We can work with therapists outside, coordinate care with one of our therapists. Whatever is best for the student works out best for them. But in terms of two psychiatrists, we don't recommend having two psychiatrists. That can kind of lead to some disjointed care. But we're happy to have new patients and do intakes, as people feel comfortable.
Thanks, Adam. Michelle, anything to add from your perspective?
Sure, absolutely. So I think what comes to mind, and this might be something that some students are grappling with, is oftentimes for mental health services, psychology, so therapy and psychiatry, both, that it has to be in-state for where the practitioner is licensed. So for example, if you have a student that is seeing a therapist in Virginia, I'm not licensed in Virginia, so I wouldn't be able to meet with that student. But if the student is moving to Maryland for school and wants to transfer services to someone that's in state, they're welcome to reach out to us and talk with us about either getting set up with us, or we also help out with off-campus referrals as well. Just really acknowledging that this area can feel pretty saturated when you're trying to find a therapist. I know, as a therapist, we see therapists. And so when I was trying to find a therapist, I ran into that it was a little difficult to find someone that felt like a good fit. So we're more than happy to help students find someone off campus that would be in the area and licensed in the state that they're in as well. So I just wanting to also kind of put that out there, that we're welcome. We're able to help out with that process as well for students.
Can I add to that? Yeah, so that's a very interesting point, and one that we've learned obviously from the pandemic and having to do a lot of telehealth. So, if the student actually physically can come to the health center, the counseling center, we are all licensed to practice in the state of Maryland. So if they come to us in the health center, there's no issue. But if they are in a state other than Maryland, Zooming, for example, then we would be needing to be licensed in that state. So we at the health center have kind of made the decision to, have them either be in Maryland to Zoom or to come to the health center. But that is a really good point, because that's something that we haven't encountered before, and something that that we have learned kind of along the way with respect to telehealth services. We do offer telehealth services if it's convenient for the student. So we can be in our office, the student can be in wherever they are in a secure location in Maryland, and we can also see them. We're kind of learning as we go, and we'll try to accommodate and make it best for the student.
Thank you both. And I know that part of this, I think, was answered in writing in some of the questions that were asked, but just want to review for everyone that appointments in the counseling center, that's designed for short-term only, not long-term, and that's included with the student fees that students have already paid. And then with the behavioral health, that, Adam, that's considered a medical appointment, correct? And so that'd be billed through either the student health insurance or their family health insurance, whichever they have.
That is correct. Yes, the SHIP, if they have SHIP, we take that, and we also, if they have a private insurance carrier, then they can use that as well. We're kind of, primary care, behavioral health have been kind of, we're working on exploring other options and things like that. But currently, yes, that's kind of the way it works.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, now let's stick with paying fees for things and what doesn't cost anything more than what students are already paying in tuition and fees. So Sarah, Brie, let's talk about stuff that all the other wellness related activities, and are there fees associated with any of those things? And if so, what? Sarah, do you want to go first? And then
Sure, I'll get started.
Yeah.
So every single service that I talked about in slides today, free of charge for students, along with so many other wellness services based out of the health center and across campus. Brie will talk more, but so many of our wellness services are free for students. If there is a fee associated with a wellness service, and sometimes there are, we'll always make that known in our advertising and on our website so that students have a heads up in advance. For example, we do offer massage and acupuncture in the health center. Both of those are services to support your wellness, but both of those also do have a fee associated with them. So we'll make those fees noticeable on the website, and also when they're making their appointment. We never want a student to be surprised by a fee, and so often the wellness services are free of charge and included in the fees they're already paying through their tuition.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, Brie.
All right, so access to the recreation and wellness facilities, outdoor spaces, group fitness programs, intramural sports participation, all of that is included in student fees, as well as your ability to participate in a club sport, although club sports may charge dues to their members to help support additional costs. And a good example of that is like the club hockey team. They have to pay for ice time. So the majority of that will be subsidized by funding from the student government and partial funding from Reckwell, but they will sometimes charge additional dues to be able to get additional ice time, better uniforms. It's sort of an internal fundraising mechanism for them by charging their members dues and or support traveling out of region if they're traveling to like a nationals or regional tournament that is in a different place than they're approved to travel. Everything else, aquatics, it's all free in our facilities unless it involves, in the good rule of thumb, one-on-one instruction. So that would be things like personal training, individualized swim lessons, although we are offering free swim lessons to our students once a week this fall semester where they can drop in. Tennis lessons where it's individualized and personalized, those things have fees. The caveat being they are nominal fees. So what you would pay for personal training at a private gym in the outside world, as I like to say, is about double what you'll pay for the trainer at the university. And as I said, these trainers are all accredited with the same certifications that you're getting in the outside world as well. So very few things have fees in our building unless it is a trip, if they're going on an adventure trip overnight, backpacking, camping, something like that. Again, it's a nominal fee, or one-on-one instruction like personal training, tennis lesson, or individualized swim instruction.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so advice time. How can parents recognize anxiety and depression in their students, especially when they may not see their student often? And what should they look for? And any advice you have for best ways to provide support from afar? Who wants to volunteer for that one first? Michelle? I'm looking at you, but you can't see me looking at you.
Well, I can hop in. So I would say one thing that kind of comes to mind is I think parents sometimes feel a little scared to ask. Like if I'm asking, I am instilling that in my student, and that's really not the case. The student would either be struggling or not struggling with that. So it's totally okay to ask and say, hey, how are you doing? Are you feeling more anxious? Are you more depressed? I attended this presentation with some phenomenal panelists and they acknowledged students are going through a hard time. How are you doing? Something like that. And then at that point, really trying to kind of hear what the student would be interested and available and open to seeking in terms of services. So recognizing, for example, the counseling center is a great fit for some students. For some students, wellness and well-being is going to Reckwell or other services. And so maybe having a conversation about what would feel most helpful for them. And also kind of checking in about things that you're noticing in terms of changes. So I think what we're seeing more often with students is maybe being more irritable, because things like anxiety and depression on the tail end can also present as feeling more angry or irritated or short because of that relationship between different mood states and the constellations of feelings that we can have. They might be, pulling back from engaging with other people. They might feel, or they might be, less interested in things that they were interested in before. So maybe just kind of checking in about related things like that. Hey, how are your classes going? Are you still, feeling enjoyment when you're doing, those things that you had done before? Because I think oftentimes students don't recognize that. For example, depression might not be tearfulness and sadness. It might be what we call anhedonia, which is a lack of interest or enjoyment. So it can present differently for different people. And so just kind of having that conversation with your student about where they're at and what they might be open to. I think something that also comes to mind is we do get calls from parents that want to make that appointment for their student. The problem with that is students don't often follow through. So if you can find some motivation and have that student have that tie in and that investment in making that appointment for themselves, even if there needs to be a little bit more push, usually they're more likely to follow through with seeking those services if they've gone through the steps. So I'll stop there if anybody else has any other suggestions, but that's kind of what comes to mind for me.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think the only thing I would add is, and I think Michelle kind of referenced it too, is just a change in behavior. If you notice a change in behavior, we know from learning about, what the pandemic has seemed to affect, it really has seemed to affect anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety out there. And I also look at anxiety as kind of, anxiety and depression as two sides of the same coin. So changes in sleep, appetite, those kinds of things, if you notice those might be indications that someone might be anxious or depressed, and, go ahead and encourage them to, get evaluated either with us or the counseling center or both. But I think otherwise, Michelle kind of captured it.
Thank you both very much. We are at the hour, so we're at 8 o'clock, and I want to be conscious of everybody's time. And so if there are additional questions that you have in the chat window, I have left the contact information for the Office of Parent and Family Affairs. So if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our office. We are, if we don't have the answers, we're going to find them for you or put you in touch with the right person at the university who can provide the information that you need, because ultimately we want the very best for our students. And so we want to make sure that you have the information that you need so that you can then be a good resource and source of support for your student. I'm just really grateful for all of our amazing presenters, my wonderful colleagues who have joined us this evening to share with all of you. We hope that this has been helpful. And please know that we're here for you. Our office is here for you. Parent and Family Affairs is here for you. So if you need anything, if anything comes up for you or for your student, please don't hesitate to reach out. This ends our Terp Family Chat for tonight. I want to thank you all for joining us. And again, a special thanks to all of my wonderful colleagues for the information they shared. Good night, everybody.